We're back! I know, it's been a bit. We're going to dive into some good stuff here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. Thank y'all for pulling up. That is, of course, Coop. I'm Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts download and listen to. While you're here, please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway. And gift it. So on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, you know Jay Coop's going to do what we always do for you all. We're going to talk practice. Plus, we've got to dive into the situation around the transfer portal. And then we'll talk about, SEC stuff and all of that good jazz. So, Coop, happy Sunday, man. How you doing?
Hey, happy Sunday. Doing good. Excited to be back. It's feels like it's been a little while, and because it really has. It's been a few minutes. Was it the last? I think we did the interview with Dolby, and I think that was the last thing that we.
Yeah, I'd say the Dolby conversation was the last time we actually came on here and talked a little ball. So I said we got to bring this back. We'll get more consistent now that we've got the Crimson Combine coming up this weekend, and we have that, which I'll wrap up spring ball, and then we can start really comparing us with the competition of the summer and going spring window is actually the big thing that's going to probably be the big conversation, because I think the spring window is in the next 2 weeks.
Yes.
Let me see. Spring window.
April 16th. Closes on 25th.
Okay. So it's the 15th. Son of a gun, it's in a week.
16th. So it opens on the 16th, so that'd be 10 days from today. And this is the fun one because you get through everybody's spring. Now you start to see the thumbprints, fingerprints from the GMs. You got to see, what are we paying you versus what are we getting? And do these guys deserve the money that they are being promised right now? And we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, this is the last transfer portal window before everybody reshuffles once more, and the revenue share starts hitting. And so it's going to be untraveled grounds from this point going forward.
Yeah, because Monday is when the settlement is supposed to happen for the NCAA in the House. That's actually, I think that's when the judges are supposed to come up with something, I quote unquote finalize. So I'm expecting that to be, we'll have something to really talk about at that point. But no, thank y'all, of course, for pulling up. Hit the like button, so wipe your feet. New to the channel, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5. First and foremost, Coop. Let's talk about this, dog. Devon Mitchell, transfer portal.
Yep.
He has entered officially. That was Friday. I put out a little video blurb on it. Talked about a player that I think the Sooners should go after. But we probably won't because we didn't offer him in the beginning. So he was a 3-star prospect. I doubt we have that type of interest. We're probably looking more and more for someone that can actually play, like contribute day one. Yeah, we're looking for someone to contribute day one. Now, granted, I still think it's hilarious that OU dropped this propaganda on us. Let me find this real quick, because I think that this was, I found it hilarious. I don't know if anybody else would find it hilarious, but I found it 100% hilarious, because it was one of those like, oh, you're really doing this? Give me a second. I'm going to put it up here because I know you know what I'm talking about, Coop.
Yeah, and while you're pulling that up, I really think that like you said, it's August 30th. It's when we need to see something happen. You need to be.
Oh, you're in a swimming pool now.
I love that clip. I know what you're doing. Yeah, you gotta do that. You gotta have somebody who's gonna come in August 30th and is gonna be ready to contribute. whether it is from the I don't know what tight end they're going to go after. It's not like wide receivers where you've got so many across the transfer portal. Tight end is a little bit more of a drier position.
Yeah. Should have muted. Okay, there's probably sound playing for everybody else. But anyway, this play felt like it was on purpose that they put this out there.
This it did. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Peyton Bowen one-handed interception last year. Up over the tight end. This is, hey, we've seen all the offensive output and all the videos that they're putting out for the offense showing that it's capable. And then Peyton comes in and one hand intercepts the ball, and you're like, oh, okay, well, there's that. And so, but no, this is it because, you heard Gabe and Teddy. If you've listened to the Oklahoma Breakdown, they kind of set expectations for Huggins this year. I would say that he is a healthier version of Austin Stogner. Probably a little bit bigger, can move around a little bit more, doesn't have that injury situation that Stogner had with the staph infection. But, that's pretty much what they told us to expect out of Huggins. And so then you see this drop where dude's just trucking guys getting in, and the entire team is all excited about that. And so Will Huggins right now and Jaron Kanek are the two that you're hearing about the most. Still haven't heard a ton about Helms, and we hadn't heard anything about Vaughn until this weekend. So
yeah, and that was the one thing I kind of mentioned before, that the concern for me was that, this is Will Huggins for who would ask, John Russ would ask, that's Will Huggins. But that was the one thing I'd mentioned when I was starting to do some room reviews. That was my concern. I hadn't heard anything about Vaughn. Like, we knew that he had taken an initiative to try to be better, I guess, do better potentially. And then you don't hear anything about him. That tells you enough there. Besides the fact that we saw that he was 275 on the depth chart. It's a little big. It's like, hopefully that meant that, he was putting on some muscle, but no. But that was a really good pass. That was a excellent pass by Michael Hawkins, and it looks like, he's out there feeling good, body feeling great. But
yeah, the only thing trending up for Vaughn was the weight, and it sounds like the coaching staff, if you have not read some of the stuff that's come out, it sounds like the coaching staff went above and beyond significantly to try to really help him out. As much as like him moving in with coaching staff members to keep him kind of on the upswing, but even that didn't work. And again, this is content people can get in a lot of trouble talking about rumors around tight end folks. But I would just say this is, it sounds like the guy had the maturity issue was tied around drinking and just showing up. There was multiple occasions where the guy was late for things, days where he just was MIA. And, it's not like when I was at OU and if the coaching staff sent out a message to everybody, you could say, I didn't get that message. Now you've got the cell phones. Now everybody's going to get that stuff. And so, for you to go MIA in this day and age, that's not good. It's a bad deal. It's, let's go ahead and get into this, Jay, because we've talked about watching names that we don't want to see leave in the transfer portal, for almost 2 years now. And now it's going to be a situation to where Nagy and staff is going to be staring at these guys. And again, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yep.
Do the funds and the assets that they have tied up in these guys, are they being reciprocated in the production? We've all been frustrated in the past to where you hear of somebody getting a pretty clean NIL deal and then coming in and not doing anything. And we had I will not drop names, but we had an offensive tackle last year, who we went after, came from another P4 program, and the dude was not good. And so I heard multiple people, ask me, can you pull his money if he's not doing well? There's consequences and there's situations with that. And so now this is how you do that. This is you bringing in somebody and going, hey, college football doesn't have to operate like the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson, to where you're just stuck in the money. You can make some moves. And so that's what happened is, they afforded Devon Mitchell well more than enough time. So if you've read it and you're just upset and you don't like the situation and you're wondering why we're getting rid of a 5-star tight end, well, the best ability is availability. And if you can't even show up to practice, then you don't have a spot on the team.
Yeah, the most important thing the best thing you could possibly do for this team is show up. Be there for practice, work your tail off, all of that stuff. And that was the unfortunate thing in that whole situation is that the rumor was there was no work there. And I hope the best for the kid. I hope he figures it out.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing for him is figuring out, getting everything together, getting his life together, making sure he's not putting himself in more bad situations, down the line. You never want, of course, the worst for a kid. So we just hope he figures it out. That's going to be critical. But as of right now, though, you're seeing there's a lot of fun going on the offensive side of the ball. John Mateer appears to be that dude. Everything that you're hearing about, like here from the mic'd up, it's just watching him go, watching him work, watching him talk to the team, watching him wind up. Everything about him appears that it's legit. He's showing that he is everything that he was advertised to be. And as you mentioned about the portal, Stevie, don't worry about it. There's nothing we got to be concerned about when it comes to, Mateer himself. It's going to be everything around him. Like, Nagy came in initially to evaluate. It appears that he started to evaluate the players first, the ones on the roster first. Now he's going to start working on recruits, and you're starting to see and hear that as, some recruits that we offered initially, they probably came to a consensus and said we probably should back off. It's kind of intriguing to see that, but do not be surprised. Frightening. Brennan is not at Oklahoma. You can go look him up at Mississippi State. He is hanging out with Jeff Levy. But all we know is that they're watching every single position, and they're evaluating everybody to determine if we need to add more pieces, which I actually expect some changes in a lot of spots. I expect some changes at I expect us to add another running back. I expect us to add a wide receiver. Yeah.
Center.
I expect another lineman, a center, someone interior, which speaking of which, have you heard anything on that? That went quiet. On Makula?
Technically you can't really do anything yet, right? It's the portal's coming open, so I think a lot of people who are in it, they have to already be in it. So there's work going on, I would say.
Technically not with him. Remember, his coach got fired.
Yeah,
so that's why he's in the portal.
You get the extra time, yeah.
Yeah, so technically, you get the 5 days to enter the portal from the day that your coach is fired, and then you can actually go ahead and jump in. So, since that's the case, I ain't heard anything even about his UCLA visit. While we're talking, I'm gonna go search it.
Yeah, you can go search that up. But yeah, you're gonna hit up the portal. The situation, I think that you're looking for, anybody from that, inside linebacker. If you can find the right guy, that's one you want to go after. A defensive back. You want somebody who's going to be able to have some playing time, down to them. It's not talent is not what we're lacking. It's kind of playing time and experience. center. I think Hollenbeck is going to be a beast. But he
In
is
time, yeah, I agree.
yeah, he is a few months out of school. Even Creed wasn't Creed year one. So so you're looking to maybe get somebody else to maybe 1 year of eligibility, maybe somebody who can be a backup, because last thing you want is what we dealt with last year is you're switching guys positions all over the place the entire year. That's what you want to avoid this year. You're not gonna see the same thing again and feel good about life. So I think that you're going to want to get some kind of a center, defensive back, tight end, and those are some of the spots. Now, I fully have to think that this is a little bit more of a well-oiled machine at this point. A lot of people who are in the portal or who are leaning that way probably have communicated through their agents, handlers, etc. So there's going to be a lot in the next 2 weeks. There's going to be a lot of rumors starting to swirl, and you're going to get into the battles where it's us going up against LSU in Texas and A&M versus this guy, or us going against Ohio State and Penn State versus another guy. So you're going to see a lot of that because people who are going to be out there, are going to be kind of the this is the last hurrah before the rev share stuff hits. So I think that
It is.
a lot of people are going to kind of act desperately. So but that's why you have a guy like Nagy in tow, so that he can look at it and make an informed and data driven decision.
Yeah, that's true. I'm looking now. Okay, so he did make his visit to UCLA. Looking on his Instagram, he does have a picture there, but he doesn't have it anywhere else, which is interesting. He posted about an hour ago that he had a great time at UCLA. But I also haven't seen him posting anything about UCLA like he's reposted about Oklahoma. Like, he's reposted some Oklahoma post. He followed me like dang near instantly. When I followed him, he followed me right back. So we're now we're in the waiting game.
Yep.
So
This was, and you remember last year, Jay, we played the waiting game first and foremost for guys like Branson Hickman.
we did play for Hickman for a bit.
Dom Williams was a big one. He was a spring game not participant, but a attendee. He was there, and that's where famously his mom said, if you don't go to school here, I'm moving here regardless. So
this is my home. I don't care.
Now they didn't. Now they do live there. So there's some stuff happening, and when you don't have the spring game. I'm a little curious about how this is going to be tracked by all of us crazy people, because when you don't have the spring game to talk about at all, there's going to be something needs to fill that. And so we've got there's a lot of good stuff. And, here's what I think, Jay, is we don't need somewhere outside of really tied in. It's not hitting the transfer portal for anything outside of depth. You need depth, and that's pretty much it. And I think that's why a lot of these coaching staffs wanted to get rid of the spring game. The unnecessary need to put on a big production where you can get somebody hurt, but also you don't want folks poaching your backups. So
because teams are definitely wanting to, if they can get their hands on it.
Yeah.
It's a fair point. I don't know. Well. So we'll find out about Jake. I think we'll probably find out about Jake this weekend. Actually, probably next weekend. Let's put it this way. I'm keeping my ears to the ground to see if he comes back for the Crimson Combine. If he shows up,
that's indicative.
I think that's a done deal. think it's done. So let's talk spring practice though. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button, new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5. Yeah, Lemon, that you probably are on the old Sooner or Later channel that I switched up. I'm gonna do something different with that one. I'm still putting stuff over there because I need to have content in there, but I'm gonna change that up. I may make that the channel where I do talk a lot more pro stuff, but I digress. Come over here to the Standard Unfair Sports channel and you'll find this pod with me and Coop. Yeah, join us. But anyway, let's talk practice. Let's talk a little bit first defense, then go to offense. Because I love this question from my boy Ace. He asked the good question: who do we think starts at Cheetah? If y'all got questions, put them in the comments. If you wanted to jump to the top, feel free to do a super chat. We always love some donations. That way we think it is a trash can. But anyway, Coop, Cheetah. I'm just going to go ahead and be straight up.
Deshaun White. That's who starts at Cheetah.
Get out. Go behind you. Go. Get. You got to go. No, I personally think it's Powers. Makes the most sense. I think he's shown enough growth. I mean, I've heard he's been working with the ones. I believe it'll be him. And honestly, I think as Dolby gets more healthy, we see him play more corner than corner and nickel rather than like, I think I can imagine seeing him out there with Gentry or seeing him out there with Eli, right? As your third corner who possibly starts often, especially with his size and ability. And then you move him into nickel whenever you're going on a passing down. But I think RP3 leads the way at Cheetah. And based upon what some of the reports where I saw on the socials was, you saw Kendall Daniels playing more inside. So you had, imagine Kendall with Samuel Masigo as your Mike. Ooh. As a perfect rotation with Kip and Kobe, or even Kendall rocking it with like either Kobe or Kip. But I know Masigo's fighting his way on there. So to me, I can understand the Kendall Daniels thoughts at playing Cheetah. I think I see him being moved around between interior linebacker and safety. I think Cheetah's probably going to get locked up by Powers. What you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they were working some of these young guys between Boganowski and Powers down there last year. And so just, with that safety room, it was pretty, it looks really good for the future. I think that everybody's excited about Boganowski and Powers, but if you talk to Reggie or if you talk to any of the guys on the team or even Mike, they'll say don't forget about Hardy, because Hardy's in there too, and Hardy's been running at the front of the group too. So a lot of stuff kind of ties into health. You're going to have Brent Venables wants pieces and chess pieces. He can go do you can do some really, really good things, and you want to be able to shuffle in and out guys. We saw it last year where Danny Stutzman was off the field on some of the bigger plays. Early in the season at Auburn, very, very big play in the game. Stutzman's on the sideline, and you've got Kobe and Kip in there. And, a lot of people who are ball knowers were like, what is going on? Why is Stutzman not in there? Well, these guys they're starting to do it. They're earning their spots. And so I think that you're probably going to see a mixture of Dolby and Powers right there. Omasigo was recruited as a linebacker. And, and so, expect this. Hardy's going to get a lot. And I would not sleep on Hardy, rotating in with RSJ and Peyton Bowen throughout the season. That's going to be something, because
Can I say something on that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's RSJ and Hardy starting.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And so if there's listen, if
That
you're a
wouldn't
5-star,
surprise me at all.
if you're a 5-star, they want you on the field. And if you earn the playing time, they want you on the field. Now, if dudes are, and I got to apologize for the kiddos screaming right outside the door, so that's always great. So this family moment's brought to you by Pepsi. But
It's a parent. You're a parent. It's okay.
yeah. But no, you're going to see a lot of guys. You're going to see a lot of guys in that safety area. You're going to see a lot of these young guys in there. And with what you're hearing as the potential strength of this team is the defensive line, that's good because what do you need out of your defensive backs? You don't need extended coverage times at that point. You need them to do a good job and to, if it gets into breaking the pocket, to the oh crap route, that's really what you need to do. And so, I'm 100% sure. I love the group of safeties and defense backs you've got. But yeah, you've got a lot of talent out there, and they're going to need to be on the field. So if you look in the future and you see defensive backs as Gentry, Dolby, and Eli Bowen, and your safeties as Hardy, RSJ, your Cheetah as Powers, like that's not anything you should be scared or worried about or concerned about. That's a pretty dope backfield right there. And so yeah, Gentry's shoulder. I saw the question.
Yeah, I was about to get to that in just a second. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they got that thing cleaned up. Fun fact is if you have something torn in your shoulder and you fix something else, you don't get better. And so they got the right surgery and they got him cleaned up. So he's running right now during the spring. If anybody has any concerns, they're not going to push him really hard.
Is that really true though? That, if they fix something else when you have a shoulder problem, that it doesn't lead to you actually healing just magically in the background? I was just curious. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. Not really saying anything out of the line. But no, seriously, that's the funny thing is that you cannot expect anybody to be healthy if they aren't, if you don't fix what's going on, the actual problem. And that's the good thing. The expectation here is that Gentry's, put it this way, Gentry's in pads. He's fully decked out. He may not be hitting people, but he's fully decked out.
Yeah.
Which is what matters the most. So, yeah. That's what's most important is that he's fully decked out. He's actually practicing. He's going through drills and stuff. So, I can expect them to not probably have him do any tackling of people until the fall, but I can totally see him doing one-on-one drills. I can see him doing some stuff during the Crimson Combine because they're going to want him to just be out there moving. But DB, we're going to probably need one more vet just in case because, of course, you're still waiting on Gentry. Eli's got the injured ankle, and then Kendall Dobie's coming back. KD's coming back from that ankle surgery in which he didn't have the boot on, and he said he's training. He's going through his rehab, and he's probably back by first game of the season. You still want to have an insurance policy there. So, we'll jump on. I see a question here about the offense. I'll jump into that in just a minute. I like this from Ace. How'd you feel about that interview that BV did with Pate?
Well, it's homeboy. A lot of people are just showing up in Norman and not letting everybody know what's going on. And so, listen, we were trying to get Pate on the show with us last year, and we really talked about a lot of stuff with him, kind of in the DMs, and I think that he sees something in this team, and I think that he is going to pay attention to Oklahoma early in the season. And if this team gets off to a good start, watch him because Pate does show a lot of affinity, for this team when they're doing well. And a lot of people want to see John Mateer, low recruited guy, just a guy that just has a gravity to him, and that a lot of people will love this team, and a lot of people are going to love to hate this team. And
yeah. So
I like the Pate interview. I was listening to it while I was doing some extra work, so I need to go back and listen to it again. But it's Pate's going to go where the stories are, and this team is a story because you saw what happened on offense last year, and if you had a capable offense, this team looks completely different. And what were your thoughts about it? Because that's the you're not if you're Josh Pate, you're not showing up to talk to a team that you think is going to go 6-7.
Agreed. And I know that was a part of the rotation of teams that he wanted to see, and he reaches out, and if he's invited in, he comes in, and just like you said, he's going where the story is. And right now, the story truly is: can Oklahoma bounce back from what they looked like last year? And when you bring in the number one transfer portal player in, and he's a quarterback, you got a good chance of flipping around what you did last year, especially because the defense, for the most part, is still intact. Your main key pieces at defensive line, linebacker outside of Danny Stutzman, and secondary outside of Billy Bowman, brought everybody back. You've added some good pieces, former 5-star Marvin Jones Jr. So that's always a big plus to add. So I think Brent Venables, in that conversation with Pate and why Pate came, he told him, and I thought it was intriguing that he focused on he wants complimentary football. He preached the sermon that you want to hear from your coach. Now we need this coach to execute. You don't win games with your speeches. You win over the fan base with your speeches, and you buy yourself additional time. But you don't win with just that speech. And I think that he gave us that. I feel like he gave us a reason to actually believe the reports that we're seeing, because truth be told, last year when we talked about it, y'all gotta remember, you can go back and pull the receipts all you want. I'm gonna remind y'all, we told y'all the one thing that we hoped for, this was hope, that our quarterback will be forged in fire and he will come back out stronger. He will take the pressure as a piece of coal and turn it to a diamond. Yeah. We weren't saying that Jackson Arnold was guaranteed to be great. We said that he's getting his butt kicked in practice, and we hope that this turns him into similar to what we got out of Sam Bradford, who was getting his butt kicked also in practice. It didn't work. So now we got Mateer, who's actually cooking this defense while also getting cooked by the defense. So when you see that there's a balance there, bro, I'm about as happy as I could possibly be there. That, to me, jumps out the most out of him talking about it and then seeing the reports that that's actually what's happening in practice. Offense wins a day, defense wins a day. Offense wins 2 days, defense wins 2 days. And it's going back and forth. We're going to have complimentary football for the first time in a bit.
Yeah, I had somebody kind of say something to me that I thought was a little nerdy, but I like it, so I'm going to share it with you guys. He was watching the second Dune flick, and the part to where the main character says, I lead the way and you guys follow me. And I think that the difference between last year is Jackson Arnold was just out there just trying to do what the play call was out there. Right? He didn't understand the ups, the downs, the ins and outs. He was just doing what was called. Whereas now you've got Mateer out here, and Mateer knows the offense. He lives and breathes the offense. He knows option A, option B, option C. He knows how to call in and out of plays. So you have a John Mateer who, like I said, it's an underdog story. You transfer from Washington State. You follow Cam Ward, so people are going to have eyes on him, and they're going to want to see, is this the real deal? I really do believe that he has control of the offense. Last year, we had no identity on offense. We saw that sometimes the defense looked like they knew what was coming more than our offensive players knew what was coming. And that's not good. Whereas, now you see, again, competitive football. You see complementary football, and that's what you want to see in spring. That's what you want to see in the fall. In spring, you're testing out things to see what your capabilities are. Right. Can we get away with running this? Is this something that we can do? Do we have Ben Arbuckle wants to run a lot of crossers on offense. And so, Jay, guess what you need to have in order to run a lot of crossers on offense? heady wide receivers who can run crossing routes.
Yeah.
You got guys who are really good at go balls, and they're not very good across the middle. That's not going to help you because you got to have the capable receivers to do it. And so, there is going to be wins. There's going to be losses when you're hearing the stuff in the spring. But at the same time, one of the things that I've really, really enjoyed in watching the Sooner PR team here this year in the spring has been the position battles, the one-on-ones going at it. But when you're seeing these clips, you're seeing a bunch of guys who you've never seen before making plays. And why is that important? Because that's what everybody's wanting to know. Can this guy make a play? Can that guy make a play? What is going to happen there? And so, this is the excitement about the spring football is everybody starts getting their delusions of grandeur. Everybody is playoff bound and national championship bound, and all is good right now, unless you catch like some wicked in-camp injuries. So. But yeah, a lot of people are going to,
which you hope you don't run into, of course. But yeah,
yes, knock on wood. But yeah, we're gonna see this defense is going to continue to be a good Brent Venables defense. You now are getting to see some of the more talented guys who were recruited into this system. These guys are not, Danny Stutzman, Ethan Downs, Billy Bowman. They were all recruited into a different system. But this is the BV guys. These are the guys that this coaching staff has wanted, and so this is good. And you like seeing the work during spring break. You like seeing the one-on-one work between Mateer and the wide receivers. Dude was heading to Houston and stopped down in Dallas to work out with Deion Burks and Javonte Gibson. As they're doing some wide receiver training. Like, there's nothing else you want to hear. There's nothing better. Because you're not hearing about quarterback controversy. You're not talking about, is Michael Thompson really doing so much better? So is there a closed book on who the starter is? Like, you're not hearing that stuff.
No, you're hearing that it's legitimate, that you got multiple options there, which is something you would like to say that you have. It's always a plus. And the way it sounds, Mateer is here continuously working his tail off, which we all love to see. But defense wise, we're going to be in a great spot because it's Brent Venables. Statistically, on average, typically the Brent Venables defense has its next leap around this time. This is when Clemson start to see those defenses really evolve into something. And so that's what we're ready for here. And let's talk it. There's another question that popped up, which was a good one. Jay, you've talked about Jackson, Stone, and Williams. How is Strong doing? Well, truth be told, we've heard really good things about everybody when it comes to the defensive line. It sounds like we legitimately have a 3 deep in each spot.
Yeah.
And it sounds like each spot is very, very competitive in that capacity. So you've got you got 3 nose tackles, probably, with Jaden Jackson, who's out right now because of shoulder surgery. But he's there. You still got Stone, who's at the size now. I mean, he's probably 320 at this point. And then you've got Marcus Strong, who I've seen reports that he's having a really good spring right now. As in, he's definitely going to be on the roster. And he's bulked his body up well over 300. Edges, of course, as you can see here, Marvin Jones Jr. is one that's everybody's satisfied. They are very happy that they got him.
And Florida State, we've made comment on it before. Florida State, a lot of the guys that I talked to over there were very upset, not only to see, obviously, a former 5-star and, maybe a leader of the defense leave, but they thought that this next year was going to be a big year for him because he got the maturity stuff nailed down. Now he has expectations coming in here, and he is really, really, really excited to be, surrounded by so much good effort and talent around him. And that's another thing is, last year, we had times where the defensive end position with R. Mason Thomas was super dominant, but we never saw anything kind of out of both sides of the defensive line. And
Right.
if you can, line up a Marvin Jones Jr. on one side and an R. Mason Thomas on the other side, and then any combination of D tackles, you got a situation where who do you double team? And the returns on Marvin Jones this year have already been. Everybody is super stoked about that. You even have guys, and Eric Basham, you bring this question up. Jacob Henry. Jacob Henry is going through his fall practice. Jacob and I have agreed to do an interview as soon as he gets through the spring practice, because he wanted to earn something before he talked about something.
Right.
And so we'll be having him on
Appreciate
here before
that.
too long. But again, he's playing catch up, and he's got a lot of studs out in front of him. So he's going to have, and he's a big wrestler, but he's a small defensive tackle. Because
He really is.
I still think he's in the 280 range. So I don't think he is really thumping up there at the 300 level. So if you're going to be that small, you got to be super quick. So he's learning, and there's a lot of learning going on. I don't know if he lands himself a spot where he's sticking on this team right now. It's going to be as kind of back into the bench. But with the new numbers, you can't just have guys on the team. And so I'll wrap this back to Marcus Strong, because this is probably a year that Marcus Strong needed to either have himself a breakout year to stay on the team, or it was going to be, a situation where there was a tough conversation about, hopping in the portal. And it sounds like Marcus Strong has done the work to earn himself a rotation spot on the team.
No. I expect Strong in there, and I have to disagree with this here. Classic sports, you think that we don't have 3 deep at both D tackles. I don't know. Let's look at it. Your nose is going to be what? Jaden Jackson, David Stone, and then Marcus Strong. You got Ace Hodges behind him, who's a former powerlifter, wrestler. Needs to get his weight up. He's about 290. I think 6 is the last time I looked at the roster. Your other side, you've got, and Dominic can also play nose. Just keep that in mind as well, because he's over 313 as well. But he's not. He's probably going to play at 3. 3 technique, you've got Dominic Williams. You've got Grayson Halton, who had a really good year last year, by the way. Stone can also play the 3 technique. But then you bring in Trent Wilson, who I've already heard he's over 300 pounds, and he plays like an SEC defensive lineman. Technically, I think we got 3 at each spot, and both of them are interchangeable, because based upon the reports with Stone is he's still got the quickness and stuff at the 3, even at that size.
Yeah, the added size,
and he's just added size to his already fast frame, and it didn't slow him down. So if that's the case, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think you've got a chance of having 3 deep there.
I just have to say this, Classic, it's foreign to us. Having good players at all 4 positions has been since Benito and Winfrey and all those guys were here, and that you could say that we had 4 guys across the defensive line that were actually, difference makers. And I don't even know if you can say like this group lining up against that group. There's some NFL guys in that group. This group has chance of doing bigger things. And that team was good. That team was really, really good with Benito, Perry and Winfrey, Isaiah Thomas. That it was a really, really good crew. We just have been lacking the outside pass rusher and the guys up the middle who were going to be able to do both things, because up until this past year, you couldn't see a guy like let's just say Grayson Halton, like up until this point, like he struggled when it came time to, the run game. He was getting tossed around, being in the upper 270s, 280s. That's not something that, especially in the SEC, that you're going to be able to do, because those those offensive guards and those centers, those guys are, clearing 320, 315, stuff like that. And so they're already 20, 30 pounds up on you, and they're the one dictating the pace. It was tough. And so you're going to have to get 4 across the board in the SEC. And I think this is the first year. And yeah, Robert, you're right. Like if you got guys like Marcus Strong and Henry who can come in and be that yeoman's Ethan Down, Corey Klein, that type of situation. Guys who just Isaiah Coe is another guy who just, more recently, who was just
Yeah.
a guy who was always there doing something good. And so, yeah,
Consistent.
so if you want to say that we are five deep at D tackle, potentially six, I'll give that to you because Trent Wilson is young, but at the same time, Trent Wilson's going to get his, and that's the big thing. That's the only part about
Trent has an
last year that I
attitude
really.
problem. I love it. And it's a good one. It's one of those, I'm not smiling because I'm here to do work attitudes, and
Yeah,
I
well,
love it.
yeah. You got to get out there and actually put some thump in it because would you rather see a guy come out here? Trent's probably going to have a lot of the David Stone type snaps from last year. To where you're going to get in, you're going to get some hurt. Last year we really dropped the ball by having a crap offense because it didn't allow us to let some of the backups cook. And it's the situation that we really found ourselves. We haven't had a lot of blowout time game time over the past couple of years, and we want to get back to that. We want to get back to up 56-0 at halftime, and then let some of the younger kids come out here and try to preserve the shutout. Like, listen, if we give up crap touchdowns with our third and fourth string guys, I'm okay with that this year. We will asterisk the stats for the defense and say our first team is XYZ. I don't care. I just want to see backups and depth pieces get a lot of consistent run this year.
That's what we need. We need some of the young guys to play, as mentioned in the chat by Classic Sports, which is a very good point. We need some of the younger players to step up, and the only way those younger players step up is how? Playing.
Yeah.
Got to get my opportunity to get out there and play, and I think that's actually what's going to happen. So yeah, we need some of these younger guys to step up. Which Taylor Wine has been getting some words. You've been hearing about him. Taylor Heim as well at Cheetah at 6'6". He's just not thick enough, but I digress. You're hearing good from the other ones. PJ's up 260, and it sounds like he's still really good at 260, and he's actually healthy, which has been the biggest problem we had with him is his ankles. He's been having health issues. He's healthy. So you're getting what you want out of him, R. Mason. Actually, me and John talked about this. Which 5-star really needs to step up? We could jump into that another time. But next set of questions that have come through here. Hold a second. And Danny Okoye is going to be an issue. He's gonna definitely be an issue. Don't worry about that. He's gonna cause problems. But John, you asked this question about Dobie to make comeback by Texas. His goal is to play by Illinois State.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say realistically, you get him back Kent State. Maybe Auburn. Actually, Auburn may be realistic. I'd say Auburn would be realistic. Which is basically about the time that because he was hurt Tennessee, so that Auburn game would be about the exact spot. That or Kent State would be actually Kent State's probably the exact spot. No, it is. That would be the spot. Because if he comes back, Auburn would be that game. I think Auburn would be it. So I'd say Auburn would be the most realistic, but his goal is Illinois State, which means he possibly could play a few snaps in that game, maybe a few snaps against Temple. But I think Auburn is the one where he comes back. That's me.
Well, he's another person that you forget about quite often. And I mean, if he wasn't a friend of the program and somebody that we talk about quite a bit, because I mean, obviously we're big Kendall Dolby fans, but this is literally a guy that you forget about. And, and I would say that guys like Gentry and guys like Kendall Dolby are people that, the casual fan probably has kind of forgot a little bit about. And so you can add those guys in, and if they come back close to what they were, they're big assets for this program.
Mm-hmm. They are. And that's the most important thing. It's that makes them, like I said, massive assets if they come back nice and healthy. But this is a good question here. Rumors around the wide receiver room is that there's a bunch more injuries. People are hurt. Everybody's dying. What are these rumors true? So Let me add to that real quick.
We got no jobs, no money. Our pets'
Our
heads are
heads
falling
are
off.
falling off. So
Yeah.
first and foremost, there were a couple of wide receivers that did go down, but nothing long term, nothing too serious. The last thing we heard was that of course Jaden Gibson had a setback, but it doesn't sound like he's done for the year.
No.
More I'm done for probably the summer type situation. So that's good. That means that he still can be on pace to come back when we actually need him, which is when? Beginning of the season. So I'm going to count on that to actually happen and not be too stressed out about it, even though I've been stressed like crazy about it as of late. But I digress. He'll be back. Keontez Lewis, Josiah Martin, and who else was it? Actually, those were the two that I heard had light dingers, but had practiced recently. So we're good.
Yeah. And again, Jaden Gibson running on air, doing his, kind of where are we at in the rehab process, and he had discomfort, and they said, all right, well, let's stop what we're doing right now, and let's take one step back and kind of hit the drawing board again. So it wasn't a situation where he retore patella or anything like that. Like he just there was that. I put Jaden Gibson in the same situation as Dolby and Gentry. It is, from what I'm hearing about Sategna, what I'm hearing about Burks, fully participating in everything, and then on top of it, Javonte Gibson, Zon Kearney had got some good reviews that he's taken another step. So you've got guys who you can rely on, and so if Jaden Gibson comes back around Auburn time or right around that time, again, it's just added extra of him coming back in. I don't expect to see that situation that we saw last year, ever again, in any program, because a lot had to go wrong at the right time in order for that to happen. So yeah, again, if you're freaked out about the injury stuff, like, we understand, but every single year there's an injury list at Auburn, there's an injury list at Alabama, there's an injury list at UConn, there's an injury list at Bartlesville High School right now. Everybody is going to have dings up. Why? Because you're hitting each other every single day.
Yeah, and I think Carry-On is actually dealing with some light dingers as well too. But I expect him to be back summer as well. So again, knock on wood, we're not hearing anything. I think the big report that I've seen every insider say on their practice report is that the biggest win is that there's been no major setbacks when it comes to injuries.
And
Burks is back. He bursted for a big touchdown recently in practice, but then they shut him down just because. So that sounds it makes you feel good.
Yeah, and last year everybody was going, what needs to happen? There's a lot of people that told me last year that the team doctors went and said, we need to back it off a tad bit. And everybody was upset because we didn't. Well, this year, once guys are getting little dings, we're saying, all right, you come back over here. It's spring. Let's rest. Let's relax. Let's chill out. Let's get you ready to go for the summer and the fall. And so that's what we're seeing from the coaching staff is they do see somebody. They're not forcing them out there. Now, again, that's a different debate for a different day on, how much do you want to be pulling guys out left and right. But at the same time, coming after last year, in the spring, you can take the conservative approach.
Yeah. And definitely go check out Oklahoma Breakdown, where Lane Johnson as well as Gabe were breaking down some of the one-on-ones and stuff. Oh, yeah. I'll put it to you this way. And this is a great way to wrap things up is everyone has that one fear right now is offensive line. That is what everybody's concern is. Everybody's wondering and uncomfortable. Lane Johnson kind of raved. Him and Gabe kind of gave some praise to the line. It sounds like, especially because he was in town, Lane was in town recently. You saw, actually, there was a Sam Bradford sighting.
Yep.
Actually here. Now, he tried to hide in the back.
In the back of the photo.
Which I get, that's just what Sammy Boy does, but we had a Sam Bradford sighting. Hold on a second, let me find that picture real quick. I think everyone needs to see this picture because that put a smile on my face, if anything. See if it shows up well. Let me fix this. Okay. Let me fix that so y'all can actually see it. But we had a Sam Bradford sighting. Because we had a Sam Bradford sighting, that made me say, oh, things are, there we go. Yeah, you see him back there in the back, right there, hiding in the back corner. He's hiding in that back corner back there, right by Teddy and Lane, which Lane is huge. I didn't realize Lane was that dang huge. Goodness.
Did you see the I think he's
NFL guys are massive.
26 or 27 guy that's I think his first name's Cooper, but he was
Cooper Hatchett.
Yeah, Cooper Hatchett in there with I think
he's in Tulsa or
yeah.
Owasso. Yeah,
and that's a boy who came out of high school at tight end. Now he's going to be
Cooper Hackett. My bad, Hackett, not Hatchet, but Hackett. Yes, Hackett. He was 6'7", 250 offensive lineman, and he was on campus, and he's a giant when it comes to standing next to BV. But yeah, as you can see, we had the O-heads here, and that was the one thing he said that he was looking for as a place where veterans would show up, and even funnier that these guys all come to practice right afterwards. And he's like, that was pretty cool to see them all want to come back. And we all know that Sam Bradford ain't been back since Stoops has been gone.
I think the last Sammy B sighting we saw was at the Toby Keith funeral. I think that he came to that one. But, I mean, outside of that, yeah, I mean, Sam does his own stuff. I mean, he's from Oklahoma. He's been around all this Oklahoma hoopla his whole entire life. And so, I also think that a lot of people forget that Sam was a really, really quiet guy. Like he's extremely athletic. So he likes doing. He likes going and doing. And he doesn't do a lot of just hang out and chill with folks. It's good to be able to see him back. But, just to see that crew right there, that just makes me happy. And, yeah, there you go. There's Cooper with Lane. Jeez. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, I still just baffles me just how big Lane is. Like, goodness, dude is just – but – and then Gabe has gotten so small because he doesn't play anymore. Well, he's got to a great, comfortable size, which is perfect. Got to give it to him.
Gabe, I want to say he made a comment the other day that he was right around the – what did he say? He was right around the 230, 240 range now. And, I mean, that's crazy because you hear the story about, I guess when they asked Gabe and Lane both to move from tight end over to offensive line, you get two guys who are all conference players. Lane's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer. Guys who switched over from tight end. We have all kinds of people up and down the Oklahoma history on the offensive line who switched over from defensive tackle, tight end. It's a pretty cool deal. But yeah, that's great photos. That's what some of the stuff you want to see. And yeah, I agree. Somebody said it. Teddy looks like he can still play. I promise you. Teddy probably still has dreams that BB calls him over and somehow gets him in the game, and it's probably, it's probably one that he wishes that he could get out there and do it one time. Because I promise you, he would turn around towards the linebacking crew and say, "That's how you do it."
That's how we do it.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. So, but I mean, that's the latest practice stuff that we're hearing. I'm ready to see what we look like when it comes to the Crimson Combine and see all these drills. But Mateer's real. You're going to enjoy seeing him. If you come out there, you're going to enjoy seeing him throw the ball.
Yeah.
Running back wise, I definitely expect a lot of X-Rob, a lot of Sawchuk, a lot of Javonte Barnes when Barnes gets back healthy. And honestly, you'll probably see some Sam Franklin, which is kind of interesting to see. Torrey Blaylock has also made a name for himself already. Brace yourself for Torrey. X and Torrey, man, could be a lethal combination.
Bless his heart. But I live a little bit out here in the country, and the other day my daughter wanted me to hit a golf ball. And so I went into my clubs, and I'm not on the course. I'm hitting it in my front yard. God knows what's going to happen. So I just kind of went for that older club that I just really don't use very much anymore, but it's good for exhibition type stuff. And I grab it and I smash it right off the metal barn of neighbor about a quarter mile away. No, I'm joking. Right across the street. But I feel like that's Sam Franklin. He is the guy on the team to where if we're up 56 nothing in the fourth quarter, Sam Franklin's going to come in and he's going to be the bulk of everything. You're going to give Torrey his run. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what Sam Franklin is he is that guy. And we'll see. If you see Sam Franklin all of a sudden start hearing rumors about Sam Franklin in the portal, that means that we probably want somebody else to come in. And but outside of that, I mean, he's a good number 4 back for you because he's got plenty of experience, and it's not like he's talentless.
So it's funny you say that because I was chopping it up with somebody today, and they were like, the one thing about Franklin I noticed is that when he actually has the ball, he looks like a running back, like a good one. Like he gets the ball, and you're like, oh, okay, he can make something happen. The problem is just getting the ball. He's had issues getting the ball and holding the ball and not dropping the ball, dropping a pass or fumbling the ball. It's holding the ball. If he holds the ball, I think he could be lethal. He ran for 1,300 yards, and I don't think it was a fluke. It's just you got to, hold the ball. But we'll see what we'll see what that looks like. Before we wrap up, we had a big visitor this weekend on top of, Cooper and a few others. But one name that everybody needs to go ahead and know is this one. Deuce Gerald's. He visit. You see him with Bates, see him with BV, and Wilt Fong immediately popped up and says that the Sooners are, he did his, thanks for the visit. Sounds like we are massive competitors for Deuce, based upon the words of Steve Wilt Fong from On 3. We are in the mix for this behemoth of a human being.
Deuce has visited OU about 111 times. So there's nothing he is coming here to see. Nothing at all that he is coming here to see. He knows what the program is. He knows what his lot is. I would say at this point it is implementation conversations, and talking to him, recruiting, stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that that's not also happening with at least one other program, but yeah, I mean, we are here and we've been here. He has been here several times. And if you ask PG says, it's getting close for him to making the call. So, you're not going up against Sacramento State for guys like this. I mean, he is going to have other very, very big programs, including Ohio State, who is, coming off the national championship game. They are absolutely having to reload, lost a ton of production. And then you got Clemson also. So that's a big number. That's a big guy. And, Jay, I think I'm going to have to go back and look. But, I mean, usually around this time in the recruiting process, we're never more than 3 or 4 guys, in tow at this point in time. So I think that I would like to see him not pull a David Stone and wait till the end of the cycle to do it. I'd like to see him do it somewhat early. Does not matter if he commits to Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson. Until early signing day, it is going to be a continuation of recruiting for whichever team that picks up the early commitment. So
right now, So right now it sounds like Oklahoma's got a very good chance with them. It sounds like we're in the tops. Him and KJ Ford together would be obscene.
And they love each
again, Trojan Fight point this out. He tore it up at the Under Armour game, similar to the way that Trent Wilson did when he decided to commit. He killed it over there and shut it down and was like, nope, this is where I'm coming. He ended up being the only D lineman we brought in, and kid's going to be something, period. But I'd like Deuce.
Deuce and KJ, I mean, those guys like each other a lot. And
Overton. Good point.
Yeah, and that also. And you guys, I mean, we saw the defensive line pull last year. So you knew, or I guess 2 years ago, so you knew that, with the Trent Wilson, him being the only one, you knew that it was going to be a big one. Tulsa's got some guys here in the 26 and 27 classes on the defensive line that are going to be big targets for Oklahoma. And you got to pull Taj Overton. You got to pull some of these guys because the next couple classes in Oklahoma don't look too terrific. It's going to be very, very top heavy. So, but yeah, Deuce coming back. Was it a Final 5, Final 4, Final 8? I can't remember right off the top of my head.
I think it's like 8.
So he posted that not too long ago. We're excited now because, I mean, not too long ago, we were part of this conversation with these bigger guys, but we were, taking home the complimentary trophy or the bronze medal. We were never getting the commitment. And 2 years ago changed that. So pay attention to this defensive line class because it could be pretty salty.
Yeah, and we really kind of need it to be salty if you really think about it. So I kind of expect it to end up being that way. So yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, we'll wrap it up, put a bow on it. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review us, give us 5, and we'll be back. We'll be back next Sunday. We'll keep it once a week for now since we're quiet. It's very much quiet time unless something happens and we need to jump on and go live on Wednesday. I don't expect it, but we will be live on Sunday of next week. And thanks for pulling up. We'll chop it up with y'all soon. Peace.